another case that's been very much in the news but hasn't gotten as much attention lately, though there's been activity in it, is Karmelo Anthony, this 17-year-old young man out of Texas who killed another 17-year-old man out of Texas. This happened after they had a confrontation at a track meet, and in just like a truly tragic exchange, for some reason, this Karmelo Anthony decided to pull out a knife and stab 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in the heart, killing him almost instantly. It's just, the whole thing is so confusing. To me, it just shows like true depraved indifference to human life. True depraved indifference. His defense is going to be self-defense, Karmelo Anthony. For the record, Karmelo is black, Austin was white. Race is being made an issue on the Karmelo side. He went under this tent that, like, I guess each team sets up their own tent, and Karmelo Anthony wasn't part of this team's tent. And so Austin Metcalf went over to him, these are the early reports, and said, leave. And he said no, and said, I guess I should quote exactly, but said, if you try to put hands on me, you're going to be sorry. Hold on, let me get it. Exactly. From the police report, reveals that Anthony told an officer right after, I was protecting myself. He heard the cop say he was the alleged killer, and Karmelo Anthony said, I'm not alleged, I did it. And he inquired to an officer if what he did was self-defense. The officer claimed he replied by telling him, I did not know what happened. Another officer states that a witness told him, Karmelo Anthony told Austin Metcalf, touch me and see what happens. And also that Karmelo Anthony told Austin Metcalf to punch him and see what happens. Before Austin did touch him, I have not seen the word punched used anywhere, but Austin did lay hands on him in some way and asked him to move. And Anthony then stabbed Metcalf in the heart thereafter. The full description by Officer Taylor Wetzel was as follows. The witness said, Austin Metcalf had told Karmelo Anthony that Anthony needed to move out from under their team's tent. Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, reached inside, proceeded to tell Austin, touch me and see what happens. No one nearby really thought that Karmelo Anthony had a weapon. Austin proceeded to touch Karmelo Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin Metcalf to punch him and see what happened. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move. Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Two witnesses were spoken to as well, one of whom was the victim's twin brother, but were too distraught at the moment to give an instant statement. He's been charged now. We've been indicted by a grand jury on first-degree murder. First-degree murder. There is capital murder, meaning you could be put to death in Texas, Dave, but only if you've killed a police officer, killed more than one person, or committed murder for hire, among other limited exceptions, not present here. Moreover, the Supreme Court said you can't impose the death penalty for someone who committed a crime under the age of 18. This family, Karmelo Anthony's family, has tried to turn this into a race war. And they have repeatedly come out through their spokesperson, who seems like an absolute effing loon, to try to say this is what it's like to be a black man in America. This is all about race. A black man in America can't even defend himself. And that seems to be the real defense as far as I see it, because I'm not sure how he's going to claim self-defense based on Austin Metcalf placing hands on him. Your thoughts?
Yeah, under the law of self-defense, you can't provoke someone and then claim self-defense. If you were the initial aggressor, we saw this in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, which Viva mentioned, and that's going to be the prosecution's argument, is that was the defendant the one who provoked the situation? And the answer seems to be yes. So you can't just provoke someone, threaten someone, and when the person touches you, that gives you the right to say, self-defense, I kill you. So I think that will fail, and I think you've hit upon something. Prosecutors have their greatest fear, and that's jury nullification. It's not supposed to happen, but that's when the jury just ignores the law and just goes with their gut or sympathy for the defendant, and perhaps that's what they're going for here, to try to create a racial divide, hoping to get jurors who will be sympathetic to their arguments because they perhaps realize that their self-defense argument is failing. So this is going to be won and lost, perhaps, in jury selection. It's going to be really important during what's called voir dire, that the prosecution sorts out those who can't follow the evidence and the law.
So, Viva, they're, I think, on the defense side, doing their best to poison the jury pool right now. I'm going to give you a flavor for the family spokesman, just so you know who I'm talking about. What I'm going to tell you he's saying after this soundbite is not on tape, but I just want you to get the flavor of who we're dealing with now. His name is Dominique Alexander. This is him from April 17th, right after it happened, SOT 18.
Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, Black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day. It's what we have to teach our children. We don't want to, but we have to. We don't like to, but if we want to sleep at night, we got to. I ain't pulling no race card. I live it. I'm reminded all the time that I'm a black man in America.
My Lord. He's surrounded by Karmelo Anthony's parents right behind him. And so here's what he's saying now. Still the spokesman for the family. They're allowing this very clearly. In a June 24th X post, pleaded with Karmelo's supporters to stand with us in the fight against white supremacy. It came right after he was formally indicted. He added, quote, to the racists, the bigots, and those filled with hate who have targeted Karmelo, his family, even myself, you do not intimidate us. We are not backing down. This case is yet another example of what it means to be black in America, where even our self-defense is questioned, scrutinized, and politicized. Unreal.
He's reserved himself a special seat in hell. You know, in the beginning, I'd say people on both sides were trying to racialize this. You know, people were saying it's black on white violence. It shows the disparate perpetrators of violent crime. And I'm saying, you know, to me, this is a young kid with a not fully developed brain acting like an idiot, whether or not he thought he intended to just, you know, like whether or not he reasonably thought he could kill somebody with one strike of a knife. Set that aside. To claim self-defense, in my humble view, former Quebec attorney, never did criminal law, patently absurd. I don't care what the self-defense laws of the state are, stand your ground, etc. To say, I touch your shoulder, I get to stab you in the heart. And whether or not he thought it was the heart, just stab you in the body, in my view, will never be legitimate self-defense, even to a jury. But I became more convinced that there was, in fact, a racial element to this because of what the family's doing now, which is trying to racialize it almost as a preemptive, using a shield as both a shield and a sword to argue race. I think this might have been racially motivated at the end of the day. The fact that there's a lot of video evidence that is captured on cell phones that hasn't been released yet, if it did reveal some sort of self-defense, I think it would have been, you know, leaked or whatever. There would have been mentions to it. This might turn out very well to be something that was racially motivated, a rich white kid in the views of Karmelo Anthony getting what he deserved, and they don't want to release it because, you know, the authorities don't want to create a race war. The fact that the defense is hell-bent on doing it as a preemptive strike leads me to believe it might be there. But bottom line, first-degree murder warranted, try him as an adult warranted, and there's no element of self-defense that is remotely commensurate or comparable to Kyle Rittenhouse, no matter how much they want to try.
Mm-hmm. I would not be surprised one bit to have this defense team at trial try to invent some made-up racial slur that was allegedly called out at Karmelo Anthony because they seem dead set on injecting race into this when it seems like, according to all the reports that happened right after it happened, he didn't claim that. The most he said was that a witness said, was that he had said to Austin, put your hands on me and you'll see what happens. No one has alleged, just keep that in mind as we go closer and closer to trial, which is this time next year. No one has alleged any sort of racial slur. And meanwhile, this Anthony family, which is allowing this loon, Dominique Alexander, to continue doing this with race, they're asking for fundraiser. They're holding a fundraiser. They want another, well, what? They're already seeking, they've already got 600,000 and they want another 800,000. They're asking, they raised their fundraising goal from 600,000, which they achieved, to 1.4 million on Give, Send, Go. They're posting that some of the money would go to basic living costs, transportation, counseling, and other security measures. The Daily Mail reporting here that they will continue to use some of the cash for, quote, safe relocation, after the Daily Mail reported that they bought a new car and already live now, I think it's borrowed, but I'm not sure, in a sprawling $800,000 home in a gated community. Again, they've already raised, it's the precise number is $544,000 and change as of 6 p.m. on Thursday. So I'm sorry, but this family is looking very grifty. The dad is all over online threatening reporters who are reporting on the case. None of this is going to come into evidence, but I would strongly advise people to think twice before donating to this give, send, go from a family that's going to try to create a race war over their son's depraved indifference. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.